Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Champions Cup. This one, the Leicester Tigers taking on the Sharks. Now, this is going to be a home game for Leicester. Last week, not quite getting the job done up against Bordeaux, which is why the table sits the way that it does with Leicester in that fourth place position. Whereas for the Sharks, they had a bonus point win over the Exeter Chiefs, getting the full 5 available, and they want to do it again. They've gone with a bit of an experimental side here, saving a few players for next week's derby up against the Sharks, but overall still a very strong side that can certainly get the job done. Now, looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for not the Harlequins, we will get the Leicester Tigers. There we go. In the front row it is Nicky Smith, Julian Montoya, and then number 3, Joe Hayes, Wells and George Martin as that locking duo, and then the loose forward trio, Leibenberg at number 6, Tommy Reffel number 7, and Cracknell at number 8. The 19 combination. This one will feel a little bit familiar with some South Africans in terms of that 10 jersey, Hondre Pollard, going up against this Sharks side here. And then at number 9, the international Jack Van Poortvliet in the midfield. Solomon Kata alongside Isaiah Parisi. So a little bit of Super Rugby flair for that midfield combo. Out on one wing, Hazel Collins. Out on the other, it is Bassett. And then number 15, Freddie Stewart. So if we see too many high balls from the Sharks, I would say that Stewart, just like he does at international level, should have them under control. For the Sharks starting lineup, it is Ntuthuku Machunu, Dylan Richardson at 2, and Trevor Nakanye slotting in as the number 3. In the locking duo, Jason Jenkins gets the start at 4 with Emil van Heeren once again at number 5. So no Eben Etzebeth, no Bongi Umbanambi, no Oxnishe. And the starting lineup, Pepsi Buthelezi as the number 6, Peter Labaskachny at number 7, and then number 8, it is Emmanuel Tichuka. Now, I said Peter, but it is Lepis Labaskachny. They have him on the team sheet, so I think Peter might also be his other name. I could be wrong, though. Jaden Hendrickse as the number 9 with Sia Masuku starting in at 10. Masuku versus Pollard. It's going to be a very entertaining type of game because it's kind of like the veteran versus that inexperienced guy that a lot of people thought out of the 50 caps that Rasi gave out throughout 2024, maybe Sia Masuku would be one of those guys who got the chance, but instead number 15 for the Sharks was the man to get that call-up. Jordan Hendricks, and then in the midfield, Francois Fenta and Ethan Hooker as the 12 and 13, Yapinke out on one wing and Edouard Keita out on the other. Looking through at the chat, we've got, hi mate, I hope you had a good week. Says Regina has been very, very fast, to be honest. We've pretty much gone from one weekend last week doing the Champions Cup in the sevens to all of a sudden being right back ready to go for another day of rugby. Got to go with the Sharks with a minus 12.7. Or sorry, 12.27. Says Graham there. Hello, Hamish. Says Madigan. Welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Hondre versus the Sharks. Says Neville. I'm still here as always. Says Robert. So it is great to see you. Looking through at the benches for these two sides. First of all, for the Sharks, they have got themselves, to be honest, a really new-look bench. Hanro Jacobs, Corne Ral, probably the two most notable names in terms of recent performances that we have seen. And then also Bester as their number 16 for Leicester off their bench. They're a little bit the same, although they've got that experience of Ben Youngs as the number 21 and Dan Cole at number 18. So those, honestly, those two could be the difference maker when we get to the final moments of the game, when you need someone to be able to step up. Perhaps Leicester can look towards those two. Looking at what these two sides did last week for Bordeaux, they had a great win over Leicester, 42 points to 28. Now, Leicester getting themselves the losing bonus point for having 4 tries or more from the game. So not a poor effort. Winning in France is extremely hard to do on any given day, let alone a Champions Cup. And then for the Sharks, they had a pretty similar winning kind of score line, except they were able to beat the Exeter Chiefs at home, which is where they're going to be playing next week. They have got themselves a South African derby up against the Bulls first, then the Stormers the week after. And then for Leicester, they've got 2 more games of Premiership Rugby before 2025. That is up against Bristol and the Harlequins, who are the opposition for the Stormers. That game taking place a little bit later on, and we will also be covering that one on the channel. Welcome in. Is that a New Zealand saying? Not really. it's just welcome into the chat. Hello. Like, I don't know how else you'd say it in terms of an easier way of saying it in less syllables. Hi, I guess, is easier. Hi, all and Hamish. Says Robert, welcome in. It's pouring rain and cooled down nicely in Pretoria now. Says Albert, and disappointing that the Sharks brought a second string squad. Hopefully the Sharks give it a go, says Akeli. And it is a tricky one. At the end of the day, with how back-to-back these games are, as I showed before, they've got 2 South African derbies taking place just around the corner. And if it's anything like the Stormers at the moment, the last thing that you want are those injuries being picked up in this competition. The Sharks got themselves the full 5 points in their first game. So, I feel like I can understand why they've gone with the B side here. But at the same time, it would have been great to see the likes of Eben Etzebeth out there on the field going up against Andre Pollard. You get those dream matches in the Champions Cup, but sometimes you don't get to quite see those same lineups that you imagine. But then that's just down to depth and also rotation for the teams. The rain in Pretoria has kept the cricket away, says Grant. And my Cheetahs are also playing later, says Albert. Yeah, we've still got that game between the Harlequins and the Stormers, which I think will be a very entertaining one. Unfortunately for the Stormers, their injury list just keeps on going up and up. And honestly, from this next game, we may even see 1 or 2 more, which would be a massive shame. But this game, it is only around 8 minutes away from starting for this match, ladies and gentlemen. So do let me know your score predictions and also who you think will score in this game in terms of a player. I think that Pitsi Buthelezi could have a big one in terms of that loose forward trio for the Sharks. A little bit similar to what we saw for the Bulls in their last game, which, I certainly hope that the Sharks play better than that, because that was a poor performance from the Bulls in the end. At least the Tigers, they showed even in defeat up against Bordeaux that they do still have a lot of potential. So funny, the Cheetahs' new home ground is in Amsterdam, says Albert there. Is that because of which comp? So is that just for the Challenge Cup, Albert, or is that for whichever competition they're moving into? Because I assume they're just Curry Cup at the moment, aren't they? But they've been on the verge of joining another comp, whether that's Super Rugby, whether that is, the URC. People even want to see them. I don't think we will get to see it, though, in the near future, unless there's a promotion relegation for the other South African teams. Just showing the highlights of the sevens. So the next sevens leg, that's going to be late January, so a long time till we get to see those sides in action again, which is pretty convenient, I guess you could say, with the amount of competitions that are taking place. The Challenge Cup must be based in Europe for some reason. I guess it makes a little bit of sense, seeing as it's, in the nicest way possible, it doesn't generate the same type of, I would assume, revenue as the Champions Cup does, so they want to try and cut costs, I guess, which would make it easier to keep them over there. Well, hopefully, I saw that they drew in their first game, so hopefully they go a little bit better. Prediction 24, Andre Pollard 16, says Neville there. So back in the Sharks to get themselves the underdog win. We've already seen one underdog win throughout this weekend of Champions Cup. In fact, we may have even seen one yesterday as well. But Sharks, they've got the potential. Their backline, there is plenty there that says that this should be a high-scoring game. But Leicester's defence, once again, with the exception of their game up against Bordeaux, where they leaked a few earlier tries, they are still a very good defensive team. And happy that Masuku is starting. I rate him highly, says Sakili there. And yeah, they had very limited options in terms of the players that they were trying to rest for this game across that back line, trying to have a few fresh faces for next week up against the Sharks. Just showing a few highlights of the rugby as well. They're showing Geordie Barrett for half a second there. He is actually going to be in action in about 5 minutes' time as well, playing for Leinster as a number 15 in their contest. That is just around the corner. I think that's up against Clermont as well. Clermont, a tough side. They're actually right up there in terms of the table at the moment. For these two sides, both have received points from the first round. Leicester receiving just the one, whereas for the Sharks, they were able to get themselves that full 5 points up against the Exeter Chiefs. So they will be looking to build upon that for this contest. And even if there was a defeat on the cards for the Sharks here, I would say 1 or 2 points minimum is what they'll be looking for. Try and keep them in that top 5 and keep them pushing towards a home round of 16. Which is the next step for these two sides after we have had the group stage. The Leicester Tigers weather doesn't look too bad at the moment. Just a nice evening game. A lot better than we saw last week in England for the weather report. But a lot of home supporters, by the looks of it, for the Leicester Tigers at Welford Road. And they will be wanting nothing less than a big win here. Looking through once again at the starting lineup. Once again, I put the Harlequins. But for the Leicester Tigers in the front row, Smith, Montoya and Hayes. That locking duo, you've got the international experience of George Martin in that number 5 jersey. Tommy Reffel at number 7. Look to see him make his way around the park. He'll have to be active up against Emmanuel Tachuka, Labaskachny, and also Pepsi Buthelezi. The 19 combination of Van Porfliet alongside Pollard. I'm looking forward to seeing Pollard here. I just want to see what he's going to be able to do up against the Sharks side. Solomon Ikata in the midfield alongside Isaiah Parisi. Then Hazel Collins, Bassett, and Freddie Stewart at number 15. Looking through at the Sharks starting lineup. It is Ntuthuku, Machunu, Richardson, and Akanye. As the front row, Jenkins and Van Heeren will make up the locking duo with Pepsi Buthelezi, Labaskachny, and also Emmanuel Tichuka. Oh, hang on. They've just mentioned about a bit of a late change there for the Leicester Tigers. I believe that is off their bench, though, but Jaden Hendrickse and Sia Masuku will be the 19 combo. Francois Finta in the midfield alongside Hooker, and then Yapinka alongside Keita and Jordan Hendrickse. Now, the benefit that the Sharks do have here is they've got 2 world-class kickers in Masuku as well as Jordan Hendrickse, and then you look at the other side of things, and that is the Leicester Tigers, and they've got Andre Pollard. So I think if it's a day of kicking tees, it's going to be a very entertaining one with not many kicks being missed. Lions behind on the scoreboard with a very weak B team. Sears Albert there. And we have got their Sharks as far as South African sides are concerned. Teams have less butter on their fingers, says Defan. So that is great news. All-Star a disgrace. I'm glad I wasn't streamed. It was an emotion in time. And also we have got the LOQ Lads Rockers, says Roof. And I mean, this would be better than the Bulls show, says Robert. Yeah, I don't think, honestly, it sounds harsh, but I don't think it would take much to be a better showing than the Bulls had. Pollard and the Tigers, he certainly is in that number 10 jersey. Pepsi Buthelezi going to lead the Shark side out through the Welford Row stands. It's going to be an exciting game. I have a lot of high hopes. Definitely because when you look through at both teams' backlines, there is speed for days. There's power in that midfield for the Leicester Tigers with Solomon Ikata as well as Isaiah Parisi. A couple boys were playing Super Rugby not too long ago. Also have international experience under the belt for those two. But now Leicester Tigers making their way out of the tunnel. The crowd are loud, ready to go for this match. I did see that there were weather delays as well, I should mention, for that Lions game. Does anyone know what the go was there? The sad thing about the Challenge Cup is they just don't show it here in New Zealand. Yeah, I did see it was slightly delayed. I would still love to see the Crusaders, the Blues in this competition, but travel logistics, etc. would be amazing. Says Robert, and Sharks left a lot of box at home for this game, says Albert. They certainly have. There's still a lot of potential in this lineup. A lot of these young guys who often don't get too many opportunities while the Springboks are there. We've got to remember they do a lot of the work while the international players are away and actually do pretty well during that time. South Africa versus Pakistan raining out. Says Xander there. A little bit of a mixed kind of weather at the moment in South Africa, it would seem. In one place it's 31 degrees Celsius, in the other it's pouring with rain. We have got the minute silence at the start of this game. And then we will be underway. The Leicester Tigers, they are wearing kit with the dark blue and then the stripes in the middle of red, green and white, the classic Leicester Tigers colours. The Sharks, they will be in white for this match. And the Sharks have not come to win. It's a joke, says Kevin. So is that based off the selections that you feel like they haven't come to win? Because I don't see much wrong with this lineup, to be honest. Yes, they haven't got those international guys, but you got to remember 2 South African derbies back-to-back just before Christmas is going to be a pretty brutal one, or at least one before Christmas, one after. And Lions 19, Pile 20, 51 minutes in, says Cobus. Yeah, so they must have had quite a delay there. It's raining in Joburg for the Lions game, but the game is on, says Albert. And after seeing the Bulls lose, Leicester have a Barrett, says Ruth. But now, we are ready to go for this game. Sharks in the white, like I said. Away from home, with a different look inside. It started raining in mild in Pretoria at the moment. But could be worse in Johannesburg, says Stefan there. Gulting, is that how you'd say that? I did skip it just before, just because I wasn't sure how to say that one. It's not good. The majority of fans believe that the Sharks will win, says Kevin. I do also think that is down to maybe not necessarily knowing the lineup, though. Like, I honestly, at the start of the week, when I saw that these two sides were playing, after the way that the Sharks played last week, I said, yep, they'll get the job done. But then, you see the lineup, and you see no Etzebeth, you see no Bongyum Benambi, and all the other players that the Sharks are missing, and the favour goes back into the Leicester Tigers. I do still think that the Sharks will keep this one close, though. Now, Andre Pollard, nice pass on the outside. A little bit of a risky offload attempted there. Pollard going to be isolated at the back and wrestled towards the touchline by Francois Fenter. And the Bulls are really disappointing for that, or for all that possession and territory they had in that match. Yeah, I think they should have won comfortably. If we're looking at possession, territory, meters made, visits to the opposition 22, there was nothing that said that the Bulls shouldn't have won comfortably. But at the end of the day, drop balls and just poor decisions really hurt them. Galtiang, to pronounce Galtiang. Oh, looks like an injury for Isaiah Perezi already. This is not good. Shoulder injury within the first minute of the game. In fact, before the first minute is up, Isaiah Perezi already looks like he's got a bit of a stinger on the shoulder. This would be a massive shame for him to go from the field. Sounds like are they checking this one? Oh no, it's just the way that he landed. He kind of extended the arm forward. Is Lubbock okay? As 5-match ban fair, says Xander. I mean, Marnie Lubbock, he did take a brutal knock in that last game. I don't actually know how long the suspension was. 5 weeks is probably about where it should be for a challenge like that. They don't normally go much higher than 5 weeks. Just keeping the arm moving around at the moment. Isaiah Perezi, he's going to have a very sore shoulder tomorrow, I should say. But it looks like he is going to be continuing. Now we've got the line out here for the Sharks. They will be about 30 metres out from the try line. First throw of the day for Dylan Richardson. Now ready to go. Chucks it into the front. It's going to be nicely claimed by Emil van Heeren. Now Pepsi Buthelezi looking for his work in the breakdown here. He will be an extremely busy man. Now gets himself the carry. Jaden Hendrickse going off to the right-hand side. Jason Jenkins, the big man who was at Leinster last season, has now just knocked the ball on, and the Tigers have got themselves the position. Attack and run forward from, it would have been Laban Burke. Trying to hold him up. Has been wrestled down to the turf. Jack Van Porfley are ready to kick this one towards the touchline. Lions game kickoff was at 6:15. Our local time in South Africa, says Albert. One's going to be loose. Tommy Riffle swats it away to the left-hand side. Skip pass from Pollard. Quick hands in the midfield. Finds Isaiah Perezi. Now goes on the outside to Ollie Hassel-Collins. Keita tries to get the ball. Knock on from Van Porfley. Everyone seemed to miss it. Nicky Smith. Yep, there we go. They have now seen it. The TMO has picked it up, and they will go back for the original knock. Some of these Northampton players look very young. 16, pretty good game. Says Ruth. And Lubbock needs fishnets and a hot nurse. Shame. Says Ruth. Now there's going to be the scrum feed for the Sharks. Another injury. Hang on, that's Pollard, isn't it? No, it's not. Never mind. He's put his head up, and it is actually Laban Berg. Tell you what, he looked a lot like Pollard when the head was down. Same haircut. But two of the big guys already going down here for the Leicester Tigers, and we're only a couple minutes in, just physicality being shown. Oh, got a knee right in the balls. That would drop anyone, I would think. But it looks like he's going to be all right. He waddles back to the huddle. I've seen the Sharks team. It's not that bad of Sharks team can cause an upset. Yeah, like, it's not a bad side. Like, yes, they are missing a few of their big names, but I still think that this side's got enough potential. And the way that they've started in this game, just in terms of the way that they were running the ball hard, like, that's all you got to do to be competitive up against some of these English sides. Is just keep on hitting that ball up, tire them out. So we actually saw it last week. I believe we saw Leicester start to dwindle in the later stages of the match. Right, I think Nthuku Machunu needs some tape on his boot. So we've already had 3 stoppages in the first 2 minutes due to injuries and players needing a bit of strapping. Now it's ball cruncher. Says Roof. Now I feel like Laban Berg, I mean, he's still bent over, breathing very heavy in the huddle. He will be loving this extra 2 minutes or so just to regain his composure and try and, get back out there. A Clemorant, or Clement, I think that is, a beating Leinster. So a great start to the match for Clement by the sounds of it. They are a very capable side, top of the table at the moment in terms of that side of the pool. So, I can understand why they are. Now ready to go for the scrum feed. Now on the halfway line, this is where this one will be fed in. Jordan Hendrickse. Got a lot of potential in terms of what he's able to do. But we will go like this, and we will go like that as well. There we go. Now scrum feed. Going to be in the hands of the Sharks, using their backline here on the outside. Finds Edouard Keita. There was a high tackle, so now they've got the advantage. Jordan Hendrickse passes on the outside to Pinke, who does throw it into touch, so they will go back for yet again another penalty. Right, quick start though for both of these sides, it would seem. When the ball is in play, it is moving around extremely efficiently. But, those ball boys would have been nervous. Players sliding right in front of them. And Stormers will have to bring their big guns. Need to get a win, says Roof. The problem, though, is they're running low on those big guns because of all the injuries that they've faced. They've got no Mani Libok, no Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu. They've lost Damien Valimza in the forwards. They've lost Dion Fori. About 3 other loose forwards. Looks like Sia Masuku, he will line up for 3 points for the first kicking and points opportunity for the Sharks. So they don't know way are the Sharks winning this away from home with one eye on the URC. But the thing is, if they've got one eye on the URC, that's perfect because those players are still in South Africa. These guys have come to play. So I wouldn't put it past them. Like, yes, the Leicester Tigers, they're a great side in the Gallagher Premiership and nothing can be taken away from them. But this Sharks side, I mean, they've got the lead now with the 3 points from the early era of the Leicester Tigers. They have all the foundation to do well in this game. Emmanuel Tachuka, Pepsi Putalese, like, I'd still take that as a loose forward trio every day of the week. And nicely taken under the high ball for Jordan Hendrickse, him and Masuku as that 10-15 combo. That is a very strong one. We've seen them dominate games before. If Clement can beat Leinster, it'll come as a big shock, says Mona Lagrange. Although very early on, and Leicester did start slow in their game up against Bristol last week as well. And then that second half is when they really did pour it on. I thought ball crushers were shining shorts from the late 70s and early 80s. Says Zane, a big love, how are we doing? Doing very well. Sep, of course, got the Quins just around the corner. I'm sure you are very excited for their contest. We're the first Quins games we've covered in a pretty long time, since Champions Cup last year, I believe. Bit of a counter-act coming from the Leicester Tigers, but the ball's still available for the Sharks. Jaden Hendricks are asking for the penalty. Ref says the ball is there, so now use it. Back into the pocket. As Dasia Masuku does put plenty of height on this one, being chased by Ethan Hooker. Slips it back onto the side of the Sharks. Jaden Hendricks looking for the 50-22, but the ball has a tennis ball-like bounce and sits up nicely. Freddie Stewart now kicks it out. That is a great kick from the back guy. Hamish and Brent says, Ria, welcome in. And listen, maybe Stormers' egos will pull them through. They need some Vuma. And haven't had a Quins game in a long time, but I'll certainly be here for it. Says Seb. Yeah, I want to say the last one was probably Harlequins versus Toulouse. Would have been semi-final, I think. Maybe, or quarter-final. One of the two for the Champions Cup. Must have been earlier this year, actually. Time flies. It's a loose ball. Julian Montoya cleans it up for the Tigers. George Martin, ball has popped out the side onto Tuku Michunu. Tries to kick it away, and they've given away the penalty of Here's Isaiah Parisi. Now pick and go. Jack Van Poorvliet is round the side. Pollard hits it up. Solomoni Kata, quick hands to Hassel Collins. Sharks working hard on the breakdown, trying to get those turnovers. I believe they are still under penalty advantage at the moment. I'll be lying if I said I remember, says Sebastian. Yeah, I'm honestly making it up. The only reason I think it's Toulouse is because I had to look for the Harlequins name for the thumbnail. I think there was one at DuPont somewhere around. Now, sitting 40 metres out from the line, Van Poorvliet goes off to Nicky Smith. Sharks will win. Says Sabongile. It's gone backwards twice in a row for Tigers. They're losing a lot of ground here. But eventually you'd assume they'll be able to bust their way through. So now Van Poorvliet, he's been told to use it, so he puts it back into the pocket rather than rolling it himself. Pollard looking for a 50-22. It is wide open out there, and it goes into touch. Now, I think that was taken back. So we're just about to find out if it's a 50-22, but space for days. And if you leave that much behind you, Pollard will be able to find it and exploit it. And ball crunches are big hits on lower pants. Ball crushes those disco pants or trousers, very tight, or shorts. There's Ruth. If the Stormers can beat the Harlequins, it will also be a big shock. A rolling more here for the Tigers, so it was the 50-22 from Andre Pollard. And they strike for the first time today. There is a penalty advantage when it comes to this rolling maul. Jack Van Poorvliet. Let's go off to the left-hand side. Solomonikata goes off to Pollard. Loose ball. And they'll go back for another penalty. Why are the Sharks playing their B team, says Tyrone? They've got a big couple games coming up in the future. Next week they're playing the Bulls at home. Then they've got the Stormers the week after. So at the moment, the way that they sit on the URC, they really want to get those couple big wins. Plus up against the Tigers, I think they still feel like this is a strong enough side to get the job done. Their discipline will be important, though. Allowing the Tigers, to just end up further up the field. Lions game paused due to lightning. 55:09 on the clock. Says Albert. So they must have had that earlier on as well, did they, Albert? Or is this the same stop that they've got? Now rolling maul here. Julian Montoya breaks off the side, and he is over the try line. The Argentine international scores the first try of the contest. They were already going to have themselves the penalty. Worst comes to worst, so they could throw absolutely everything into it. A great work from Montoya. Second pause due to lightning. I wonder how long they can go for before they call it a day. I assume they wouldn't really have a time. Some grounds would have a time restraint, I would think, but I'm not sure about others. Just rolling forward very nicely. Oh, was he disconnected there? Joe Hayes? He was. Yeah, they were pulling forward a little bit, but I think he was just hanging on enough. Montoya does reap the rewards. Sounds like there's a bit of a conversation going on between the TMO and the referee, not speaking English, so I'm not sure what's being said. Andre Pollard to add the extra 2 and does just that from the touchline. Gets it over 7 points to 3 now. Alice Park has got good lighting, says Neville. Yeah, I assume that there is a certain time that the stadium say that they kind of want them out. Like, you can probably go for an extra hour, maybe. But, yeah, I'd assume that they just have to hope that the weather does get that a little bit better. Chocolate and crisps, that sounds all right, doesn't it? Sounds like a decent combo. I don't think we've got either in the house at the moment. We also don't have bread. I have to get some bread tomorrow morning. Well, this morning, seeing as it's 6:47 for the breakfast. Now Van Porfliet goes across to Solomoni Kata. Hamish, you're looking simply fabulous again. How many hours have you been awake late nights, says Roof? You compliment me far more than you have to, Roof. But, like, yeah, I managed to sneak an hour of sleep before this live stream. You sound half dead way, says Rian. And also it takes 10 to 20 minutes for Lightning to move on, says Albert. Now nice run forward, Sia Masuku as Jaden Hendrickson puts in the little grubber, and it's actually going to be a knock on now. Hamish, this is Africa. Nobody can tell the time, says Neville. You said it, not me. Just so that it's known, Neville is the one. I just read it out. Sometimes I trust you guys too much in the comments. I read 90% of them, if not more. 12 minutes in, nice run from Sia Masuku, being able to pierce that defence. Pollard had him covered. And then just the knock on from Hendrickson. They made their way through, but Michael Cheika a little bit frustrated. Oh. Okay, I think the TMO was checking something else there. The referee just asking for a bit more pace to be used. These thunderstorms can be over within an hour, says Stefan. Yeah, so hopefully they get back out there for the end of the game. Okay, there's a clap going around for the Tigers. A big push from the Sharks at scrum time, but Jack Van Porfliet is ready for it. Now back to Andre Pollard. Now, in fact, no, this time Freddie Stewart has a bit of a crash run with it. George Martin tries to step after receiving the pass from his teammates, gone backwards again. Tigers have dropped the ball quite a bit today already, but most of the time has gone towards their own goal line. Nthuku Machuno staying down for a little while after trying to attempt that tackle. Hopefully will be all right. Edouard Keita takes the high ball. Now Lebenberg locks himself over. Can't quite get that turnover. Leicester going to get their rhythm going. Sharkies will have to snap. Afrikaans are notoriously late. They can read the time they wanted to. They don't, says Robert. Now passed on the outside. Yapinke cuts back inwards to the missed tackle from Josh Bassett. And pretty much every breakdown for both sides, in fact, we are seeing at least one man trying to commit and get that turnover. Gonna wear on them as this match does wear on. Sia Masuku gets it off to the right-hand side to Lavaskachne now. One more on the outside. Edouard Keita goes to Pepsi Buthelezi, who had no room to work with. Does go into touch. Thunderstruck, no. AC/DC, says Ruth. A bit of a banger of a tune, isn't it? One try at the moment on the ball for the Leicester Tigers. They managed to get themselves the losing bonus point for 4 tries last week. Same can be said about the Sharks in terms of that bonus point, but they managed to get themselves the win, receiving the full 5. John Plumtree not hugely happy with what he has seen throughout this first 15 minutes. Too many mistakes coming from the Sharks. Michael Cheika, the head coach for the Leicester Tigers. I got the ionized water for Michael Cheika with a pH of 9+. No idea what that means. Must be good for you. Go the Sharks, says Bedford. Now 15 minutes down already in this match. It has been absolutely flying by. Jack Van Porfliet leaves it for the number 8 here. Feels weird not seeing Jesper Wiese in a Leicester Tigers kit. Oh, another knock on. Too many eras happening for these two sides. Mr. Hamish, what's your favourite song besides The World and Union, I mean? I honestly don't know what my favourite song would be. I think my Spotify Wrap told me that I had 1,500 songs or more listened to throughout 2024, so yeah, I'm not very consistent. I think the most listened song were only like maybe 30 times, so it wasn't exactly a huge number in that regard. And 17,000, oh no, that's not mine. What did I have? I had 28,904 minutes listened. I only just realised you have the stoop in the background, getting ready for a belter of a contest. Yeah, it just seemed easier. I tried to find one of Welford Road, but it didn't go that well. So I just thought, nah, we'll stick the stoop. I like the stoop just because of the colouring as well. Does always look very nice. Getting dark now, Cape Town. Leicester as a nice place I visited when I lived in the UK back in 1998. Says Ruth, and the Lions game will restart unless Eskim decides to interfere, says Neville. It's like another injury here out there on the field. A lovely venue indeed, says Seb. Have you watched many games at the ground, Seb? Out of curiosity, because I know that you have found yourself around England at times. What is happening? Currently a stoppage. Trevor Nakanye getting his boots fixed. So we've had a lot of stoppages throughout this game, but as soon as we get back into the action, we will, of course, have the play-by-play, but both sides in huddles at the moment, and Trevor Nakanye down on his knee, getting a bit of medical attention. He's back up, though. Looks like he's walking very gingerly, like the guy who got kneed in the nuts earlier. But he's going to continue in this game, Trevor Nakanye. I'm a Stormers supporter, but whatever, says Bedford. I mean, it's good to see the camaraderie showing support for the other South African sides. Of course, in a couple of weeks' time, when it's Sharks versus Stormers, I think I know who you'll be backing for that one. Now, Jaden Hendrickse, ready to feed this ball in slow scoring here. Hamish, final score, please. I do think we're going to see both of these sides bring up at least 25. I think that the Sharks will struggle a little bit more to get to that 25 mark than the Tigers, but I can see them doing it. So I'm going to go 28-25 to the Tigers, something like that. Maybe 31-25. Wouldn't be a mile off. Now another scrum reset. So Ben Young's at the moment just warming up. Hugely capped player with a lot of experience under his belt. Been to the Stoop. Also been to Leicester, but never at Welford Road. See you, Seb. All that's going to be a free kick going the way of the Leicester Tigers. Now, that is substantial because it was actually the Sharks scrum feed for that one. Now, Andre Pollard, he will look to just send this one probably as high as he can, make it an awkward one for the Sharks to be able to take. Sticks it up for the up and under, and that is a well-weighted kick just outside of the 22. Jordan Hendrickse takes, has tackled low. Off to the left-hand side here. Good backline movement. Ethan Hooker, he breaks the line, has the man on the inside, but he missed the pass to Jaden Hendrickse. Still makes a few extra metres, but I feel like Hendrickse would have been a lot further up the field had that pass connected. Now Hendrickse looking for the kick in behind. That is Jordan rather than Jaden. Hassel Collins back there, gives it to Stewart and sends it down the field. We've got a new channel member, Ananda Silva. Thank you very much for hitting that membership button. You now have access to the emojis on the channel, including the Christmas one. We're only 10 days away from being in the festive spirit. Nice run forward from Hazel Collins. Looked for the offload knock on from Solomoni Kata. Knock on. Scrum feed now for the Sharks. It's been a scrappy start to this game overall. A little bit of a 50-50, I would say, in terms of the handling problems. Welcome and under. Says Seb there. And Hamish, try. Says Ruth there as well. Yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are greatly appreciative of you all being here, and we will be here for the Harlequins versus Stormers game that is kicking off in 2 hours' time. Should be a very entertaining one that we are thoroughly looking forward to. Now chance at scrum time. Another set piece coming. Lovely emoji. The bloke who made it is must be a genius, says Sebastian. Absolutely. Plus the Halloween one as well, I believe, did have a genius kind of touch to it. Jaden Hendricks to feed this ball in. Replacement Isaiah Perez. He's actually gone off the field. And that is a big shame for the Leicester Tigers to lose a player this early on in the game. Could be costly later on. Nice attack and run forward. Another offload coming. Pepsi Buthelezi has to hurdle his teammate. No advantage. Now going off to the left-hand side. Sia Masuku puts a little chip in behind. Miscommunication at the back from the Tigers, and they'll go back for the penalty. Ollie Cracknell, the man who's been penalised. I believe that is the man. No, sorry, Woodward is the man who's just made his way onto the field. And a Wild Days 98 RIP. Can't believe you've kept them all these years. I really appreciate it, brother, says Seb. Oh, they look good. And at the end of the day, because of how quick the year flies by, like, it honestly works having them all year round. I do think that I'll have to add a few more at some point, won't I? Just because I think based on the amount of members you have, depends on how many emojis you can have. So I can probably add an extra 2 or so. So I have to brainstorm a little bit for those ones. Always been a member, but some stole my phone, Benita. Says Bedford. And Father Christmas time. Yo ho ho. Says Ruth. Yeah, I can't believe we're 10 days, or that's 11 days for some of you guys, depending on where you are, but I can't believe how close we are to the end of the year. Nice attack and run from Edouard Keita there. Going to build forward. Jaden Hendricks going off to the right-hand side. Gets it away to Labaskachny. Now back across. 3 meters from the try line. Unfufuku Machunu. Gets them that little bit closer. Being told to use it here. Round the side. That looks very close, and the try is scored by the Sharks. They'll have the lead now. And this match looks like Emmanuel Tichuca trying to stand up, but he had a few players overlapping him. One of which being Harry Wells. But they've responded well, got themselves the try back on the board now for the Sharks team, and it is Emmanuel Tichuca who managed to score it. Just a very good drive to start it off. You're stressed when you don't know it's Christmas time. Is that the case? Because I guess, I didn't even know it was my birthday till someone reminded me. Like, about a month before, I didn't even know how close we were to it. But, yeah. It's a busy time of the year. In fact, the last week or so has actually been the least busy live stream-wise, but probably one of my most busy work-wise, seeing as the international season and everything is starting to come to a close. Started picking up more hours during the week. Okay, it sounds like they're saying nothing's conclusive for the TMO. See Masuku, he's got the kick over as well. So that will make the score now 10 points to 3 in favour of the Sharks. You're pretty good at name pronunciation. I'm impressed, says R&D Productions. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated you being here for this one. Still a couple names that do make me slip up every once in a while. Definitely the Sharks bench for this game. It's going to be a pretty tricky one, I would think, but we'll try our best. Got this time, silly season at work, crazy busy. Says Albert, happened to me this year as well. Forgot it was my birthday until a workmate wished me happy birthday. Covering the wrong match, lads. Says Barry Powell. I assume you're saying that we should be covering Leinster versus Clermont. In that case, Barry. Let's kick going high from Jaden Hendricks. Yapinke is underneath it. It's a fair contest, and it looks like it should come down on the side of the Sharks. Yes, it does. You're missing the game, says Leon Swart. Or you're talking about the Lions game, maybe, in that case. But yeah, nicely done by Yapinke. Be able to take it, and then from there, they did rule that he was the man who had the rights to the ball rather than Josh Bassett. 11 struggle. Says R&D. Eamon Zulu names like Machunu is not an sound. It's, or is it sound, not ma? Says, was there from Graham. Now I'll see a Masuku. Let's kick this one up high. And nicely taken By the big number 8, Ollie Cracknell. Now back into the pocket, Andre Pollard ready to sink the slipper into this one. Solomon Ikata chasing out hard and beautiful take under the high ball from Jordan Hendrickse. Now the advantage and the penalty goes the way of the Leicester Tigers. Locked over the ball for Tommy Raphael. And always hard to move him. It's a hell of a match so far. Great attacking rugby by both sides. Says Barry. And definitely sometimes I wish I could get back there in a time capsule. Back to the past. Says Ruth. And now, chance for the line out. This will be about maybe 10 metres, if not a little bit closer to the try line. That is one benefit that Andre Pollard brings you. Being able to get you those good metres. I was wondering what that noise was, but I think it's our fridge. And I, Hamish, thank you for opting to follow the Sharks game. Greatly appreciated. Says Dragon Girl, no worries at all. Been an entertaining game so far. 24 minutes into the contest, and there's been a bit of back and forth. Chance here again for the the rolling maul for the Leicester Tigers. Now, creeping forward just a little bit more. Julian Montoya off the back, and he scores another one, the double for the Argentine skipper. After only the 25 minutes in, Sharks edging ahead again, says Roof. Ananda said, I cannot see the match. The membership is for the channel emojis, I should mention, not the match itself. The broadcasters for the matches are still the same. So if you want to refund that because you thought you were going to see the game, completely understandable. But yeah, in terms of YouTube, they have a very strict guideline on not being able to show match footage or audio, or else you get taken down for copyright infringement. In South Africa, I believe it is on DSTV. If you are in England, I believe there are a few different options, including Sky Sports as one of them. Okay, TMO once again is talking in, I think it's French. What time is the Stormers game? Says Bedford. That is kicking off in 2 hours' time. Polo's contract to the Tigers ending end of the year. Where do you think he's going? I could see him in France again. But, like, the Tigers, I would also think that they'd be pretty keen to lock him in for another season if they have got the funds to do so. The kick has gone over from Pollard, making the score now 14 points to 10. Japan, I reckon. Yeah, Japan could also be the option for Pollard. Ding, ding, dong. Great battle here. And both sides had him back, says Ruth. Michael Checky was pretty happy with that one. I think Japan says R&D in there as well. Yeah, it just depends on what he wants out of his rugby, doesn't it? Because if he wants a little bit of a slightly easier season, I think that he'd consider Japan. If he works or he wants to work on that tactical kicking heavily, I think that France might be the option. To be honest, I'm kind of annoyed at the South African teams in this new comp. I thought they would be better than this. Very sad. Says Doctor. Yeah, although they're not doing awful. Like, the Bulls, they did look awful in their game. Watch agency. I think Pollard's only 29, isn't he? He's still got a few years under the belt for the future. I think Pollard is 31. I'll have a quick look. Maybe I looked at it a little while ago, which probably isn't a mile off. He's 30. Turned 30 on the 11th of March. Now, line out throw here for Dylan Richardson. Thank you, Stormers, for the win, says Bedford. Now, almost stolen there by the Leicester Tigers, but the Sharks are back in possession. 4 points down at the moment with 13 minutes remaining, and the penalty again goes the way of the Leicester Tigers. So quick to get over the ball in the breakdown. Reffel has won back-to-back penalties. European Cup is a huge step up, says Barry. He's getting a bit older now. Japan is like a rugby retirement destination, says R&D. Yeah, although he's still 30 years old. Like, he's got time under his belt. Oh, manages to keep it. Oh, no. Kept it in the field of play. Threw the ball back in, and then the Tigers score. Great follow-up from Ollie Hassel-Collins, but that is really poor from the Sharks. Did all the hard work of keeping the ball in. Edouard Keita just to throw it in and give it to the opposition for the try. So Polly is closer to 31 than 30. If you want to claim that one, Albert, I will allow you to. My birthday is 13th of March. Says Ruth. But yeah, just throws it back in. It would have been a 4 pass anyway from Edouard Keita, who puts the hands on the head, which was just an awful mistake to make. European Rugby only has one World Cup holder, says Doctor, and Japan is good for the bank balance though, says Barry. That is true, although you can get good money in France as well. It just started. I think the teams are doing all right, to be honest, says R&D. Now Pollard with this kick opportunity. I reckon Leinster will lock him in to another contract, or he'll go to Japan, says Sakile there. Now ready to line up this kick. These are normally easy enough for Pollard. 9 points difference between the two teams. He struck it and he has got it over. 21 points to 10. I have paid money for subscription, but still I can't see the match. But yeah, like I said, that one that you did was actually the channel membership, not like a subscription to watch the game, which is why if you want to refund it, that is completely fine. I think all you have to do is message YouTube and say that it wasn't correct. But yeah, pretty much the channel membership is for the emojis that you see in the chat and the little badge, not for the actual gameplay, just because to be able to do that, even if it was like for us to charge to then show the game, that would be highly illegal, seeing as we don't have the broadcast rights to be able to do so. But yeah, like 100% if you want to refund that, no worries whatsoever. Hello, chaps, what did I miss? Says on the right, well, you missed a crucial error there from the Sharks. They decided to try and keep the ball in the field of play, threw it back in and threw it straight to the Leicester Tigers. The European teams are all paid professional players from other countries. They won't pay for peanuts in South Africa. Now it's going to be slapped forward by Freddie Stewart. Should be going back for it. I don't know how the refs missed that one. It was clear as day. They have now got themselves possession here. Little kick behind from Jack Van Poorvliet. And be claimed there. Oh, they'll go back for that original knock-on now in favour of the Sharks. Well, Pollard banging it over, pulling away. Sharks need some awake pills, no sleeping, and the Sharks going to lose, says Bradley. And I reckon Leicester... Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? The match between South Africa and Pakistan just been called off with a ball being bowled. South Africa still won the 3-match series 2-0, says Morley Lagrange. How can cancel it, says Ananda. So pretty much if... I'm not sure the exact way, but pretty much through your memberships on YouTube. I believe if you message YouTube support, you should be able to say that you accidentally ended up purchasing a membership, and they should refund it. Like, sadly, we don't have a way of refunding through the channel, which I feel is a bit, like, unfortunate. I feel like it should be one that we can easily click, but yeah, they don't have that option, sadly. Our French league is brutal on the body. There are a lot of matches plus European matches, and needs to mind the body to make the next World Cup, don't you think? Says Barry, it is a fair call, although depending on who he would sign for, if he was to go for the Tigers or for France, like they probably look to only play him every second game. But then if you're paying all that money, like, yeah, we're going to see the knock on there from Freddie Stewart. France hasn't got a World Cup, says Doctor. And you can't watch these comps on YouTube unless the Champions Cup broadcast it themselves, says Sakile there. That reminds me to pay my subscription tomorrow ASAP, same time, or sometime my brain cells are scrambled, Hamish, says Ruth. Now Jordan Hendrickse running it hard on the halfway line at the moment, gives it off to Pepsi Buthelezi again over the ball. Tell you what, the Sharks need some ball security in those breakdowns because the Tigers are just stealing it for fun. All stolen back though. Knocked on. Right, first knock on by White, so it will be a Leicester Tigers scrum feed. Seems like a handling error problem has happened for all these South African sides throughout this weekend so far. If that's so, why are South African teams so bad in Europe then? Says Barry, and Pepsi needs a Coca-Cola. Andre played for Japan's Reds Hurricanes in November 2015 to January 2016. Yeah, he's had experience all around the world. Andre Pollard. In fact, that would be an interesting question. Who out of the current rugby players has played in the most competitions professionally? Like Pollard, he's played in Super Rugby. So he's played in South Africa in that regard. He's had a Japanese side, a French team, an English team. And maybe one of those guys who have gone to the MLR as well, just because they've ticked off that little bit of an extra feather in the cap. Pollard definitely don't need more money. He will probably stay in England for convenience. France will shorten his career very intense there. Says Albert. They couldn't win Super Rugby, so opted for an easy comp. But the South has got their World Cups while in the Super comp. Barry says Doctor. South African go to 80% during club games and at 100% for national games. Now ready to go for this scrum feed. Jack Van Poortvliet. Pollard is like a movie, says Ruth. Come on the Sharks, says Bedford. The ball is fed in. Sitting 6 metres out. Well, sorry, not 6 metres out. Well, pretty much 6 metres out from the halfway line at the moment. Freddie Stewart has the numbers on the outside. Does get the nice pass away. Hazel Collins cuts back inwards. Now Van Poortvliet sold the dummy. He got a little bit greedy there. Shouldn't have done that. Almost lost the ball. It's available there for Freddie Stewart to play halfback. Gives it off to George Martin. Enjoy watching him play, says Ruth. Now off to the right-hand side, Nicky Smith. If the Tigers can score again here, they will have a bonus point before we're even at halftime. Brilliant fed from Solomoni Kata. And he will go through and score another. I think, Doctor, you're just an idiot. All the money in rugby is in Europe and Japan for the club teams, says Barry. We have Gillian Pollard has not played in the best league yet, the URC. See, Grant and Leicester are quite lethal here. And we have got there as well. Don't think any Super Rugby team could win Champions Cup in Europe, says Albert. And this is where you need more experience in the defence, says Sakili. But yeah, unfortunately, just too many handling errors at the moment from the Sharks, giving the position back to the Tigers. And we know how dangerous they can be on attack. We've seen it time and time again throughout the Premiership, and we're seeing it here yet again. Another mistake, or that time it was Labaskakni. Couldn't drag him down. Tigers are pounding the poor Sharkies, says Ruth there too. Great work from Solomoni Kata. Yep, and Kata is a great European homegrown talent, right, Barry? Says Doctor. Now Pollard to line up another kick straight down the middle of the pegs. Makes it 28 points to 10. Looks like all South African teams are falling the weekend. It's sad, says Carlos. How'd the Lions go in the end? Did they manage to get themselves a win in the Challenge Cup? We'll have a quick look. Challenge Cup, what we got? They are still winning 33 points to 23, but that game, I believe, is still delayed due to the lightning strikes. But yeah, Champions Cup-wise, it might be a tough weekend for these South African teams. I got to get another cup of coffee, says Ruth. Now it's going to be kicked high by Jack Van Poortvliet. Sharks need another try before halftime. That's going to be slapped back. Pepsi Buta, lazy, loose ball. Manages to clean it up eventually. Now Hendrickse gives it off to Labaskakni for another carry for him. Masuku goes across to Hendrickse. Passing just looks a little bit stagnant at the moment. For the Sharks team, Hondre are enjoying shark fin soup, says Neville. Emmanuel Tichuca, the lone try scorer at the moment for the Sharks in this game, but the bonus point has already been awarded to the Leicester Tigers. Sharks want to be able to do the same, but they will need more tries in the second half. Nice take into the high ball from Freddie Stewart. Now Van Poortvliet back across to the right-hand side. Little pop pass up to George Martin. Pollard again will look for the kick in behind, looking for the 50-22. Masuku is back there to cover. Does have to send this one. No, he decides to have a run instead, close to the touchline. Boots the ball downfield into the 22. Freddie Stewart, we know how long that man's boot is. Masuku doesn't make the tackle. Eventually the Sharks manage to get him down. 292 metres carried last week, they've just said, for Freddie Stewart. And the fact that they still lost that game just says how strong Bordeaux were. Kuria Montoya, he's already got the 2 tries today. Currently 2 minutes remaining in the Spurs staff. Jack Van Poortvliet will look to kick it high. Hanging in the breeze a little bit, running onto it. Hendrickson manages to slap it backwards. And Jack Van Portfiet goes back across to Nicky Smith. Andre Pollard goes to Solomoni Kata. Always runs the ball hard, space on the outside. Chipping behind. Pace has to be shown here by the Sharks. And they've gone into touch. 2 metres out from their try line. There's a fine line between love and hate. So keep your cool. And we have got there, not sure Roof says Barry, but 90 seconds remaining. And the rolling maul from the Tigers has been outstanding throughout today so far. Josh Bassett making the right decision of putting that ball in behind. Lions game has restarted. Here's Albert. The Sharks are going to have to look at this game, really restart the second half with some sort of handling, because they have struggled big time. The Lions 38-23. Also, the Lions just scored, all stolen by the Sharks. 1 metre out from their line. Siamasuku kicks it downfield, looking for the touchline. Does get it into touch, or does he know that ball just decided to avoid the touchline? Freddie Stewart goes across, great stepping from Hassel Collins. Van Porfliet, that's offside by a mile there for Emil van Heeren. Pretty much gifting the Tigers with another advantage in their favour. Surprised by the Lions. They're a good side, the Lions. I feel like a lot of people underestimate the George Martin. Looking for that next pass. Jack Van Porfia, great hands. And Andre Pollard runs in the try up against the Sharks. Another one before halftime. This is domination at the moment. Hang on. Triple blow the whistle. What's going on now? Pollard, big smile on his face. Well, the Leicester coach will be riding the check as we speak. Oh, referee's gone down with the injury. Looks like Piardi has got some sort of ankle injury here, or some sort of lower leg. I think they're going to need a new referee for the second half. He doesn't look like he's going to be able to continue in this game. Who are the Lions playing? They are playing Pal. You know, ref's had a limp for a long time by the looks of that. Tried to run through it to get there for the try, but he is going to be gone. Apologies for being late. Was watching ISO Speed, but he's playing a game which is boring right now. Which game is he playing, Charles? Do let me know. He was actually recently in New Zealand and Australia. And Leicester are winning 12 points to 7 at halftime. Says Connor. And shout out from a bunch of South Africans listening on the bridge while sailing south for the Dominican Republic. Thanks for keeping us company. Amazing commentary as always. Well, hopefully you do sail safely. I know people say drive safe, so I'm not sure what you really say for someone who's on a boat. But yeah, hopefully the weather is nice and you're enjoying it. Yeah, this doesn't look like Piardi's going to be able to actually continue in this game. Looks like it is the right leg of the ref. Tough to watch, says Dean. Jake's post-match interview, he doesn't sound upset at all, says Albert. Which I know will frustrate Bulls supporters, won't it? If you go into a game, you play awfully, one of your worst season, or one of the worst games of the season, if not worst game of the last 5 or so years, and you go, oh well, she's all right. Safe passage. Okay. Don't you say something about the wind too, like good wind to you or something? Isn't that a thing? I think that's for a cruise ship. You say something about the wind, like fair wind to you, something like that. He didn't come to South Island, only northern New Zealand. Yeah, that's because New Zealand tried to take money off him, so he just left. Pollard should be a starting pick for the Box, says Neville. The Euro teams are too strong for South African teams, says Outlaw. Referee injured, twisted ankle. Yeah, the home side dominating this first half, 35 point to 10 at halftime. Are the Bulls any good though? They're a good side when they play well, but they did not play well in their last game. They played a shocker of a performance. Blew probably 5 tries at least, if not more, throughout that game due to poor handling and bad decision making. At the URC, says, cool story, bro. Yeah, like URC-wise, they're sitting about 3rd on the overall standing, so not doing too bad in that regard. Yeah, second half not too far away, hopefully. Hopefully it's a quick little break. The referee will get a rub down to hopefully be able to continue, but if not, we will see a new referee. And how will that change the momentum of this game. What countries have you been to? I have been to New Zealand because I live here. I've been to Australia, and I've been to Indonesia. So those are all the locations that I have found myself at times in my life. I should say I also had the chance to go to Fiji a little while ago, but I did turn it down just because we were too busy with streams. So that's one that I kind of regret not going, just because Fiji does look very nice. But yeah, I was pretty much packed with streams from start to finish for 10 days. So I said, nah, can't do it. URC is okay, but the Euro Cup is tough. Says Outlaw. A ref change for the second half. It looks like there could be a little bit of a likeliness, a lack of strength and depth towards the French clubs, and Pollard and many top players all say the top 14 is by far the toughest comp there is. And Sharks not doing any better than the Bulls, says Stefan. Yeah, I think the big difference is the Sharks haven't had the same amount of attacking chances that we saw for the Bulls. Like the Bulls at halftime could have had the scoreline up against the Northampton Saints, but they just didn't take those chances. Stormers, hopefully they get a few up against the Harlequins later on, just because we want to see a close game. Indonesia is a couple of hours away from New Zealand, makes sense, says Charles. And also we have got there, which one is the strongest squads in the South African clubs? Yeah, second half not too far away. Anyone who was watching that Leinster game as well, how is Geordie Barrett doing at 15? Out of curiosity, is he looking all right, or would he be better in that number 12 jersey for them? Just looking at the benches, I mentioned about it for the Sharks, it's not going to get any easier. In fact, it's going to get worse, I would think, because when you look at their bench, there's just no real experience across the board for them, so that can be a massive concern and could be a big talking point as this match does wear on. I wouldn't say that Leicester have a huge amount of experience either when it comes to their reserves, but I do think that the Sharks at the moment just haven't quite been able to find their stride in this game. They found themselves ill-disciplined in the breakdowns, plus not protecting that ball. Leicester Tigers have got about 3 or 4 steals in the breakdown, so I think that that's something that they certainly need to work on for the second 40 minutes as well. Geordie is looking amazing. Scored brilliant try. Says Albert. Did he score in this game, Albert? Or was that last game? Because last game he was looking great when he made his way off the bench. Stop killing the Sharks, Leicester. They are a protected species. Says I am nutty. And the Sharks just didn't pitch up, really disappointing. And Lincoln well with Sam Prendergast. Says Barry Power. I just turned down a trip to Mauritius with my mum, just so I didn't miss out having fun with my cool friends. So lame of me. Says, good story, bro. And this game, says Albert. So he's already scored today. I'll quickly tell you what. They've got the Champions Cup on 2 different channels. So what I can do is I can go watch from live and I can look for the tries that happened in that other game. While we're at the halftime break, might as well see what is happening in the other contest. I know that Clermont got a very early try by the sounds of it. Looks like it was... Who was it? It was Raka, I think, scored the first try, didn't he? For Clermont. Then we saw Leinster come back into it by the looks of it later on in the half. Where are we? There we go. We found the try. One of which was scored by Gary Ringrose at number 13. And then the next try coming pretty much straight after. Yep, rolled over and scored it, Geordie Barrett. Nicely done by the big man. South African teams and Jake should stop moaning and whinging about player depth and start playing rugby. If the Euro Cup too hot for them, get out of the kitchen and play only Little League, Curry Cup in South Africa. South African teams are not good enough. The Champions Cup says attack the gas station. What are you attacking the gas station for? Got in for Christmas shopping and a few beers. I can't say I'm too happy seeing the Hollywood money boys losing, says Fleshin. Yeah, it's just been a very one-sided game at the moment between them. I would like to think that there'd be some sort of comeback on for the Sharks team, but it just doesn't seem likely at the moment. Because their bench, there's not a lot there that I think will change this game completely. Mauritius is fantastic, beautiful. So here's Ruth. We've seen the World Cup draw many times for the Women's World Cup in 2025. They showed it at halftime in the last game, and they are showing it at halftime this one as well. Shopping at Christmas. I've now got in from metal detecting. Cold but happy, brother. Did you find anything, Kurno, with your metal detector? All our best players from South Africa are playing for the competition. Says Albert. The second half. I think that throughout the first, we've seen some great moments from Andre Pollard. In terms of the Sharks, I think Jordan Hendricks, he hasn't looked too bad. Masuku's made some good decisions. Tichuka's done well, but just as a whole, they've been pretty much run off their feet by this Tigers backline, as well as the brilliant work and the breakdown from Tommy Reffel is not making it easy at the moment for the Sharks team. But who knows? Maybe the second half, something drastic happens. At the moment in the Challenge Cup, the Lions versus Pal, the score is 40 points to 28. So the Lions are looking like they will be able to get themselves a victory here. We will have to wait and see as well. All right, we will go like that. And like that. There we go. Just making some coffee. Back for the second half. Sharks look like they've missed the target, says Ruth. Yeah, they've found themselves making silly mistakes with the ball in hand. There's quite a few scrums that they've had not go their way. And then also, you can't afford to lose that ball in the breakdown from not releasing penalties. South Africa Rugby has won a super great team, the Springboks. The South African clubs and coaches not good enough for the Euro Cup level, unfortunately. Says Eric, the thing is, they will build into it. Like last year, we did see the Sharks win the Challenge Cup, which was quite cool to see. The Bulls, the Stormers, and the Lions not quite able to get too far, but, it happens. At the end of the day, it's still a learning curve for them, and one day maybe that will be the main focus for these South African sides. Now these Northern Hemisphere fans talking down South African Curry Cup when all the European teams are stacked full of Kiwis, Aussies, Islanders, and South Africans. What French depth, says Doctor. But we will quickly check to see. We'll go back here. Go whereabouts. Okay, so we're about maybe 6 minutes away from the second half starting up. I was just checking to see the time. I already got my Christmas presents. Chocolate gin, scented candles, body butter. Oh, yeah, says Ruth. It's a body butter. What is body butter? Is that like moisturizer of some sort, or is it literally like butter consistency that you put on yourself? Like a body wash type arrangement? But do let me know your in-score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen. Leicester Tigers have already scored more points than they had last week, I believe, up against Bordeaux. We are only at the first half. The South African teams got back their players like Visa, Pollard, Arge, Snyman, Augustus, Tyrone Green. They would be more competitive, says Albert. But yeah, there's just big money overseas, isn't there? Like, you look through all the sides. Like, even, like, this side, for instance, you got the internationals of Montoya. You got Tommy Reffel, Jack Van Porfliet, Andre Pollard, Solomon Kata, Isaiah Parisi, Freddie Stewart, all those guys who can make a real difference. Sharks also my team. Says Hendrick there. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not they can get back into it. 12 of the top box also play in Japan. None mentioned. Our teams will never be that amazing at Super Rugby either. Were never that amazing at Super Rugby either. We don't care too much. Says Cool Story Bro, and I all hope ball kicking. Says Jean, or Jean, I should say. They're just showing the pools again. That Women's World Cup, it should be a very entertaining one. We are hoping to cover most of it on the channel. At least 10 games, I would say, would be a very good goal for a starting point, and then from there, just see how we go. The middle of the night games are always rough, but we're used to it. This is a middle of the night game, currently 7:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. Did you eat your breakfast yet? I did not. And I'm getting quite peckish, if I'm being honest. The last meal that I had would have been tea last night, so that was at about 6 p.m. And now we're sitting at 7:30 a.m. If you bring back all South African players playing abroad, South Africa would be unbeatable, says Albert. This is not a good rugby day, says Sakabula. Yeah, side struggling. I mean, the Lions are doing well in their game of the Challenge Cup, currently leading 40. Hello, I'm back again. I don't know what happened. I was still here, just chilling, halfway through a sentence. Still a consistent downpour in Pretoria. What a relief, says Stefan there. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see me, even if it is lagging a little bit. Wi-Fi went down for a tad there, but we should be back now with a little bit of luck, which is good news because there's still plenty of rugby that needs to be played today. One moment, we'll go like that. Yeah, the Wi-Fi should be all good now. Has come back, which is ideal. Second half, I would say, is only a couple minutes away from starting. We're going to need to see a lot more from this back line. I thought you were just concentrating intensely. Oh, could you guys still see me while I was frozen? I'll quickly send you some Pippin Wars, says Neville. I'm starving, Hamish. My belly thinks my throat's been cut, mate. I thought it was my side, says Sakabula. You are in my office, no issue, says Neville there. We'll quickly adjust the green screen a little bit, just so, there we go, we've got rid of the fade that we had. That's the first time we've had a Wi-Fi issue on a live stream in quite some time. Hopefully, touch wood, that doesn't happen throughout the next game, Stormers versus Harlequins. That will be the next one we are covering, starting at 9 a.m. New Zealand time. Should be a very entertaining contest. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button on this live stream. We are currently sitting on a like total, I should say, of 59. So let's see if we can push towards 100 by the time the second half does start up. And we won't be a mile off the second half, I would say. We'll go here. Yeah, probably about a minute or so before the two sides make their way back out onto the pitch. Ready to go. I'm starving, Hamish. There's Kurnovic in there as well. Because it's evening game for you guys in South Africa and also in Europe, isn't it? Hopefully you guys have enjoyed your dinner. I have a question. With the likes of the Stormers versus Harlequins, right? If you're a Stormers supporter, that game kicks off at 10 p.m. South African time. Do you still have a braai beforehand? Or like, you know, you'd still do something, wouldn't you, on a day where your team is playing? Why do we play in the Euro Cup anyway? Surely need time to get used to the URC. It's just a deal that comes with the URC. When you are in the United Rugby Championship, you also find yourself involved in the Champions Cup. How long has Kiwi Lads been going now? I think I stumbled on you about 3 years ago. So we've been going since, I think it was around July 2020. So about, well, it's actually almost 4.5 years. It's a long time. It's a lot of talking. I think we did the maths the other week. I can't quite remember what it was, but I think we had done about 100 or maybe 200 24-hour days worth of streaming on the channel since the channel's start. We play every Saturday afternoon, no matter what, says Albert, and 6:30 p.m. in the UK, says Kurnovic. Got a shot of the Paris Olympics, I think that is. Yes, it is. Most of the guys are so drunk, they wouldn't watch much rugby, says Regine. Yeah, second half. I don't see the Sharks making any early changes to their lineup. I think they've just got to go pretty much with what they've got. Imagine how many games you've covered, says Sakabula. It's a lot. Like, it's one moment. I can tell you how many live streams we've had on the channel, which will help us a little bit. So live stream wise, we have had around 1,820, which may not sound like a huge amount, but that means that across 4 years, that's at least one live stream a day in terms of like that kind of side of things. So then if you even consider all of those live streams going, let's say they go 1820, they go for on average, we've got some sevens in there, so that would take it down, but I'd say on average probably 75 minutes, somewhere around there. If you include sevens matches, that's 250 matches. Says, good story, bro. That's a load, and the Stormers have so many injuries, they'll fall over in the breeze. Says, I am nutty. So yeah, if you consider that, we've done 136,500 minutes, which if you then divide by 60, that's 2,275 hours, which if you divide by 24 is 94 straight days. So I probably was a little bit light in terms of saying 75 minutes on average, because we've also had live streams that were done for 4 hours. And, they kind of up the number a bit too. Come on the Sharks, says Daniel. And we've got there in South Africa during the rugby season, the braaiing is close to 24/7, says Stefan. Yeah, we just got the halftime break where they're showing all the highlights of some of the Paris Olympics that did take place. I honestly didn't watch a huge amount of the Olympics in the end. That was mainly because we were covering the sevens, and then after that, just didn't really watch a huge amount. Not much of a social life then, lad. That is true. Yep, I mentioned about it before. We sacrificed a trip to Fiji to do the live streams over a weekend, which I still think was an interesting choice, but we did it. Had a lot of events and whatnot that we've said, nah, we've got streams. Your dedication is off the charts, Hamish. Fair play to you, mate. Says Kerno Wick. Yeah. The thing is, though, I feel like I would definitely not change in terms of how much we've done. Like, yes, at times it's been brutal. Like, during that World Cup period, I think we had one weekend where we were up for about 70 hours and got 6 hours of sleep across it. So, like, yeah, it's one of those ones that you get used to the hours. At 41, I have time for Hamish. Says, cool story, bro. So the Lions did it. At the moment, I believe they are still leading. 76 minutes in, 8 points lead, 43 points to 35 for the Lions. Now leaving the dressing rooms. Looks like the referee, unfortunately, does have the injury, so he will not be continuing in this match. Is it just you doing all this? Pretty much. Like, anytime we've had the others on a stream, it's pretty much while I'm here as well. Like, we've probably had Tim fill in about maybe 10 to 15 streams over that time as well. But yeah, just me in terms of the streaming and editing videos and everything along those lines. No sleep. Not good for growing child like you, mate, says Regine. Yeah, I've probably really butchered my later years of life, but she'll be right. The referee now has changed for the second half. This will be interesting to see how the refereeing changes. I know that first ref Piardi, he was very quick to give penalties in the breakdown for the Leicester Tigers. Ref has been red carded, says Neville. Now Andre Pollard ready to go for this one and get us underway for the second half. Nicely taken by Jordan Hendrickson. If the Sharks want any chance in this game, they need to score first. And then they need to score again, and then they need to score again just to get back into it. Now getting wrestled down to the turf was Jason Jenkins. Hasn't had a huge game so far, although that can be pretty much said about a lot of these Sharks players. AXC butchered many people's later years, so don't feel bad. Says, good story, bro. Nicely taken under the high ball for Freddie Stewart. Leicester is a dumb. Crime and violence is real bad there. Says Kerno Rick. Yeah, they're going all right in the rugby at the moment. 25 points up against the Sharks side. There's going to be almost knock on from Solomoni Kata, but manages to regather it. I wish they have no chance, says Barry. Yeah, it might be wishful thinking that this one is going to be a close game. Jack Van Poorvliet goes across to the side, knock on from Andre Pollard. And now going to be the scrum feed for these scrums. Once Hamish meets that special lady, we will miss these long day rugby commentating. Says Sakabula. Well, I think I'd still have the streams going in that regard. It's more so I think that work would be what ends up taking me out of the equation for more time. But yeah, it would depend on the job, because at the moment the job that I have, I can be quite versatile in terms of, and I guess kind of not stuck on one schedule. Whereas, if I was to move anywhere or do anything like that, get a new job that has a weekend kind of job thing, hours, I should say, then that's when it gets tricky. Now Jaden Hendrickse going to get that big push for the scrum of the Sharks, and it's worked out not too badly, no advantage in their favour. They're going to try and run this one forward. And had a huge amount of meters all throughout the game. It's almost a clean steal again in the breakdown from the Tigers. Now see a Masuku with the wide cutout pass, knock on from Labaskachny. He's had a poor game so far. When you have a wife, you fall under a dictatorship. Says Neville. Ruth the same as the special lady, and Tim not always for the better. Says Sakabula. And you must negotiate business hours, says Regine. That's easier said than done, though, definitely depending on what job it is. Hamish would still have time for us because he has to take his girlfriend back to the old age home pretty early, says Grant. Lovely. Now scrum feed here for Jack Van Poorvliet. Already the bonus point on the board for the Tigers. They've got a 25-point lead. Now about to put the ball in. The Tigers, they won't be in any real hurry here. They've got a brilliant points differential, building nicely, although they would like it to be a little bit higher. Such a Grant comment in it. That is correct, Seb. Very Grant of him. Now, Jack Van Poorvliet going 30 metres out from the line. Cross kick. Tempted to charge it down, but it's bounced back onto the side of the Tigers again. And they're that quick with that ball moving that each time the Sharks try and join the breakdown, it's a lovely pick and go. Jack Van Poorvliet, a halfback, should not pierce through like he just did. But that is another try on the board for the Tigers. And Rain and Dudes, thankfully, says, cool story, bro. Jack Van Poorvliet does manage to get himself the try. Just pierces around the side. Missed tackles from the Sharks. This is looking like it's going to be pretty one-sided, as the Sharks needed to score first. And they have conceded first within 5 minutes of the second half starting. Starting to turn into a thrashing. Yeah, it's getting very one-sided. But yeah, that was just poor from the Sharks' defence. No sort of setness to it. And Pollard gets the kick over. 42 points to 10 now. It's not going to be easy. And Grant is just jealous. They won't allow him into the old age home anymore, says Sakabula. And Poorvliet, yeah, Pinke missed the tackle. I think Trevor Nekanye missed one too. It's the sponsor on the Sharks shorts does, I'd say, insert fist here. Lovely. Yeah, I don't actually know what their sponsor is, to be honest. I know that you didn't actually want to know, but I cannot read it. It's a black logo. SSG, I think I've just seen on the butt cheeks of Trevor Nekanye. Now, big attack and run from Sia Masuku. They need, slipping over all over the place, the Sharks, even when they haven't got the ball. That's a rough pass. That's gone to no one. Jordan Hendrickse cleans it up. Enjoy being young, guys. Says cool story, bro. Theoretically, if the Sharks win their home games, they will make it out of the group, says Albert. And the worst comes to worst, they make it into the Challenge Cup and win it for a second year in the row. So, it's not all doom and gloom for these sides. You've still got that next opportunity. Anyone that doesn't know, the fifth team in each group does go through to the Challenge Cup. And while Tigers overpowering the Sharks, says Xander, yeah, they're doing extremely well. Big Fen coming in from Ntuthuko Machunu. Now on the halfway line, Jaden Hendrickse. Little pop pass up to Edouard Kate, almost through there for the Sharks. Manuel Tichuca, how different this game looked about an hour ago when Tichuca had just scored the first try of the match of the Sharks to give them the lead 10 points to 7. It was long in the past now, though. Now Hendrickse going off to the right-hand side. Jordan Hendrickse. Hendrickse again goes across to the left. I have a variety message. My wife keeps changing. Blonde, brunette, redhead, blonde, raven. And so it goes on. I like a surprise wife every day. Says Neville. Right. So she just gets the hair dye and goes, I'm going to change it for the day, does she? Now, another run forward. Oh, that was a rough pass. It was forward, so they will go back for the penalty in favour of the Sharks. Since that mention of breakfast, I feel like I've gotten like 10 times hungrier. Currently 7:47 a.m. New Zealand time. Depending on how long this game takes, I might be able to squeeze in food in between the next 2 streams, although I think it would be optimistic. What's the time at the moment? It's currently 7:47. The next stream we are starting at 8:55, so maybe. Am I chameleon, says Neville. 32 minutes remain here between these two sides. Eggs on a steak, says Sakabula. I have neither of those two things. It'd be easier with wigs. Hamish is like the captain of the ship, going down with this one sided match. Says Cool Story Bro, though now rolling more here for the Sharks. Not looking awful. Harry Wells looks a lot like Caelan Norris. He's come through the middle and just shut that one down in the scrum feed for the Leicester Tigers. You can see the frustration on the face of the Sharks. They have just been below par today. Also, the commentators are just saying there that it should actually be a penalty against Leicester for collapsing of the maul. All right, you're back and I'm back. Hope it's a better half for the Sharks. And Roof, they never went away. Says Suckable. Although that's a lie, the Wi-Fi did cut out, didn't it, at one point? So I did disappear for a brief amount of time. 49 minutes through. Tigers have plenty of time to bring up that 50. The Sharks, to just get a bonus point would be pretty handy. Hamish may find a special lady and a new job and leave us. So yeah, it's a cool story, bro. I don't think that will be happening anytime soon, seeing as I still don't really leave the house, other than for cricket on a Saturday and Thursday for cricket practice, and now Wednesday because I also help coach cricket. So other than cricket, I don't really do much. Old Sharks or AI Sharks, what went wrong? What channel on DSTV? Hopefully someone can help you out for that. I assume somewhere around that 211 or somewhere, but I could be wrong. Hopefully someone will be able to let you know. Now scrum feed, Jack Van Poorvliet. Put this ball in again. New referee, of course, so we will get to see scrums slightly differently interpreted. 201 and 211, says Sakili there. Speaking of which, how's the cricket going? It's going. Definitely not as good as last season. I do think that, because I'm playing second grade this year, which I don't have the camera on the helmet anymore, and I feel like I don't concentrate as much when I don't have the camera, which is a bit weird, but that's just how it's ended up working. So yeah, I haven't really done too much this season. Also trying to get through a quad injury, just because sitting here for so long then trying to sprint doesn't work. First the Bulls, now the Sharks, and I don't have much hope for a battered Stormers side, says Sakabula. Looks like a couple more changes being made this time for the Leicester Tigers. Dan Cole will make his way on. And you're a machine, you're sacrificing your travelling to stay and take care of us. You Kiwi Lads kids, simply the best, says Roof. And first the Bulls, now the Sharks, and I don't have much hope for a battered Stormers side, says Sakabula. Yeah, we might have a big day of South African sides losing, unfortunately. But who knows, maybe the game up against the Quins, the Stormers can find their rhythm and keep it close. That's a knock-on from the Sharks again. Islash did even play. He did not in this contest. He is still in South Africa. Same with Sia Khaleesi. Same with Bongi Umbanambi, Oxnishe, Vincent Koch. All those guys not there today. I'm like Jake. I'll pay attention to the URC, I guess. It's a good story, bro. You're getting another scrum. We've had quite a few of those throughout this game. Definitely in the second half. No need for the Stormers' rhythm. Thank you very much, says Sebastian. That wouldn't be very good for your Harlequins, would it, if the Stormers managed to fire? Already 6 tries on the board for the Tigers. They have got, I believe, the same amount of points as Bordeaux had up against them last week. That's going to be another, this time, free kick going the way of the Sharks. That won't be the worst thing in the world for them. Jaden Hendrickson takes the quick dab, goes off now to Francois Fenter. No Andre Esta isn't in this game either. No Lucanio Am, no Apelele Fasi. Makazoli, Mapimpi, all those players missing from this lineup. Jordan Hendrickson driven backwards and a physical shot coming in. Would have been Woodward. Sounds like a tongue twister. Okay, so this makes sense then. The Sharks are playing bad without their Springboks. And no excuse for the Bulls, says Sakabula. At least they're boom smashing it, baby. And Sharks are caught in the Tigers' headlights, says Ruth. Yeah, they're just bringing physicality across the board here, the Tigers, and then just getting in those breakdowns. Now another scrum feed, this time for the Tigers. What's the score in the Leinster game? I'll have a quick look as well. They were up at halftime by 5. And 15 points to 7 at the moment after 61 minutes. So a pretty close one between those two sides as well. I'm sure there is a plan from South African national coach. No way the Western Province under-20 team has beaten Harlequins later. Most of the Stormers Springboks are out with injuries as well. And the Sharks cannot play against Pollard and the Pollard sidekicks. I understand the Sharks rotating, but the Saints travelled with a full-strength squad. Won comfortably, says Sakili. I guess, because they've got 2 games coming up, the Sharks, so that they didn't want to risk the injuries there. But at the same time, this was a game that I honestly do think if the Sharks did go full strength, they would have had a good chance of winning. Definitely after the way that they played last week up against the Exeter Chiefs. Penalty goes the way of the Sharks now. Sealing off in the breakdown. And Sakabula, good Hamish was frozen like a popsicle, says Ruth. And I thought he saw a ghost, says Sakabula there as well. But now Sia Masuku will be able to kick this one towards the touch line and doesn't find touch. So that pretty much summarises the way that they have played so far. But Freddie Stewart now running the ball back towards the halfway line. It's just those little mistakes that you just cannot afford in a game where you are down by so much. Now, chance again for Leicester to try and go in for yet again another try. Andre Pollard kicks it downfield, partially charged down, so the Sharks will claim it again. Jordan Hendrickson now, starting to pin his ears back. Finds the ball on the inside to Emmanuel Tichuka. Hendrickson. It's to Dylan Richardson. Now Masuku inside ball to Pepsi Buthelezi. Just need some phases, but once again, almost falling the wrong way there, the Sharks. Masuku goes across to Machunu. Some quick hands, Pinka taken down. And over the ball, the Tigers win themselves yet again another penalty. As Plummer, the Sharks coach, he is indeed. Plumtree, I should say, rather than Plummer. I'm sure the ghost of Christmas still to come. Here's Neville. Leone gets over that one. Gets the turnover. And though I had a rat in my roof, but turned out to be spotted Gennett that likes chicken Viennas. Right? The ghost is my bank account after Christmas. Says Sakabula. Yeah, that's an all too familiar feeling, isn't it? Ben Youngs making his way onto the field. Most experienced English 9 that they have had. Not a good game so far from Jack Van Porfleet, I should say. Done very well. Now looking to use this back line on the outside. Chance for the Tigers to strike again. Still 24 minutes left. And at the moment, it does just seem like it's a matter of how much are they going to lose by. Which is a shame, because at the start of this game, I was hoping it would be competitive, but it's been anything but for this matchup. Now going back across, Ben Youngs with the inside ball. Off to Wells. Solomoni Kata, he's had a good game. And that number 12 jersey, nice running from Freddie Stewart to get that inside pass. Now big run forward again. Ben Youngs wanted the penalty for not rolling away. Doesn't end up winning it. Wells, tackled 25 metres from the line. Back to the right. Andre Pollard, short ball. Well hung on to, I should say. Solomoni Kata, the skip pass out wide. Finds Tommy Reffel. I don't think he's had a huge amount of runs with the ball, but this time it's going to be the penalty to the Sharks. Reffel not happy. This referee is very quick in those breakdowns. 50 points. And we have good there. Hamish have toast with butter and Nutella with cheese. I don't have any bread at the moment. But yeah, depending on when this live stream ends will depend on whether I've got time to go and get something. What about replacements? Says Stefan. They've made a couple so far. But then the Sharks, they have not really, like Corne Ral and Hanro Jakobs, probably the two most notable names off the bench for the Sharks. So it's going to be tough. That is for sure. Looks like there is a change that is just about to be made. Well hung on to. Title of Fame 6 tape. I got to put up out for a bit. We'll be back for the Quins vs Stormers game. See Sebastian. So we will see a little bit later on. 22 minutes still left, which is going to feel like an eternity for the Sharks. So probably for the supporters of this team. Mavisera makes his way onto the field. And that is for Pepsi Buthelezi, who hasn't really had that same kind of impact that I was hoping we would see from him. Now back to the right-hand side here. Yapinka. Oh, he's almost gone through the gap. Finds the offload. One KT's in touch. They will go back for the original penalty anyway. It's just every moment that it seems like they're about to find some sort of breakthrough or something, it just gets shut down. Tigers' defence, though, it is an extremely strong one. It's a great kick from Hendrickse, a wildcat with a very long, thick tail. Says Albert. Maybe there's a reason Sharkies are sinking. I had to get it in before you go, Seb. Now Dylan Richardson. Line out throw. 10 metres between the Sharks and their second try. They need it, and they need it soon. If they can somehow, like, I know that this is way too optimistic, but if we can see the Sharks somehow get themselves 4 tries, bring it up to 38 or so in the last 20 minutes, and get a bonus point out of this game. In fact, that would be 2 bonus points. Like, that has to be, in the Sharks' mind, the bare minimum for this game. And here they come, 2 metres out from the line with Maviseri. Now again, the pick and go. Bradley Davids with the bounce pass for the Sharks. They're through and they score. And it's Ethan Hooker. He's got himself the try. The Sharks are the Proteas of rugby. I think this whole saving the stars thing was a mistake. Says Luke. Yeah, we'll find out later on in the competition when the points start to come together and we start to see who will be playing who in the round of 16, because you also got to remember, by not willing to put the best side out here and losing this game for the Sharks, that gives away any sort of home field advantage that they possibly could have had if it does go down to the wire type thing in terms of the points. Finally something, says Sakabola. Yeah, now opportunity for Siamasuku to take this kick. Like they said, they need 2 more tries if they want to take something from this game. Speaking of taking something from the game, Leinster still 15 points to 7 up over Clermont. So Clermont still have a perfect opportunity to get it. Geordie plays for Leicester. He plays for Leinster, number 15 for this game. And Grant and Sebastian, where's your rollerblades? You two would do well in a Blades movie. Blades of Glory. I would look like Hamish running, where I sit on rollerblades. Very true. Running doesn't work very well for myself. Andre Pollard, go on deep, nicely taken by Davids. Oh, Francois Fente having a slip. Does seem relatively slippery out there on the field, I do have to say. Siamasuku now looking for the touchline. And it does get it out, but the Leicester Tigers, they will still have the attack from about 25 metres from the line. Thank you. Says Sandor. I just said there, player returning from 2 ACL injuries for Cameron Henderson. And T20 cricket match between South Africa and Pakistan abandoned due to rain. And how much running can you achieve, Hamish? Not a lot. Or I could probably go further than I could before starting playing cricket, but still not a lot. Now George Martin crashes forward. Ben Youngs passes off to the replacement, Charlie Clear. Ball was loose, but now cleaned up by Cameron Henderson. And there's a drop ball. Sounds like there's going to be a scrum here for the Leicester Tigers again. 17 minutes still left on the clock, but the Tigers, they haven't had a huge amount in the second half. I think they scored the 1 try. If I'm correct, it was 35-10 at halftime, I believe. Yeah, bad knees, Hamish. Not so much the knees, but just the muscular groups around the knees. So, this season I've had the problem with my quad, and last season it was my groin, which I think they're all kind of attached relatively, but yeah, that's all right. We get through it. And hi all, just back from a business trip to Moscow. I hope everyone is doing well. I had wins for Munster and the Bulls, and both let me down, says Brian. It's his ankles because of his French ancestors. Says, cool story, bro. Just looking at the clock again. This game, it should be finished by about 8:25. True, when I was your age, I was always pulling my groin, says Sandor. Probably in a different way to how I have done it in terms of injury, I would think. Oh. Okay, a little bit of swearing going on in the front rows by the sounds of it, with a threat from one front rower. Not sure who it was. So what you're saying, Hamish, is legs don't work? Pretty much, yeah. And hello, Brian, greetings. We missed you from Moscow. Here's Ruth. Now Young. The ball in. Ref asking for a bit of stability, which is exactly what they've got now. Going off to the left. Pollard with the skip pass out wide. Oh, a good finish from, I think that was Francois Fenta to push him into touch. Leicester winning by 8. It still might happen if the Sharks make a comeback, says Brian. Yeah, it's going to be tough. 15 minutes remaining, but I would like to see the Sharks get a couple more tries here just to, just get something going. The ref just saying that he was in touch first before going touch and goal, so it is a 5-metre line out for the Sharks here. The other match that has taken place between Leinster and Clermont is still 15 points to 7, with only about 8 minutes remaining, so a pretty close one in that regard. Oh, that was a big shot coming in from Cracknell. Downfield. Edouard Keita, he was blocked there by Ben Young. Surprised that it wasn't given as a penalty. We got a new member on the channel there from Brian. Yet again, thank you very much, mate. That is a penalty going the way of the Sharks. Most people look dangerous on rollerblades and not in a good way. Says Ruth. Now Hendricks takes it downfield into touch. We're around the halfway line. Once again, we're still at that mercy of it's going to be a win for Leicester. It's just how much are they going to win by? Unfortunately, Brian, the Sharks were swimming backwards and around, says Neville. Yeah, they just never got going in this game. Like, they had one good moment near the start with Emmanuel Tachuka, but other than that, we're just not really seeing that same Shark side as we saw last week. This is a side that beat the Exeter Chiefs, but of course, it was the same team, but a very different lineup for this game compared to that one. I've never been able to master the art of rollerblading, says Grant. I don't think I've rollerbladed before. I've done ice skating, which I was terrible at. So I had to use the frame. Another drop ball. This time from Maveseri. And I give lads, morning to you everyone. How many minutes I've got, Hamish? Says Buttermix. Still another 14 minutes left. And then, of course, we have got that next live stream between the Stormers and the Harlequins. The missus has gone out on a girls' night. She doesn't understand this. We're watching a guy watching the rugby. We gave a bind to Hamish. I look forward to this all week, says Robert in there. Well, it's great to have you back. Hopefully she enjoys the night out. Rollerblading doesn't work unless you're wearing denim short shorts, says Sandor. Oh, I don't think I'd have the tan for that. That might not work out. I feel like the footpaths nowadays are a bit rockier than they used to be as well, so you probably couldn't rollerblade around these parts without hitting a rock and falling on your face. Little grubber in behind attempted from Shilcock. Offloaded Hendricks, another knock on from Edouard Keita. They're just dropping the ball every time they touch it at the moment. So there's not much we can say. It's just a rinse and repeat of every time they think they're going to go through, they then drop the ball again, and then we get another scrum, which takes another minute, and then we get another knock on. Not ideal. What about spandex? Says God Story Bro, morning. And spandex might tear if you take a tumble, so yes, wear spandex, says Sandor. Now, Ben Young's ready to put this ball in again. A moment, we will go like that. And we will go like that as well. I was getting a phone call. That doesn't happen very often. Oh, I'm getting 2 phone calls. Hang on. Hey, good morning, Spider. A good night here, says Brian. Now, Solomon Kata. Moving forward quite nicely, I should say. Ben Youngs off to George Martin. 10 metres from the try line. Youngs. It's a drop ball there from the Tigers, but luckily it's gone backwards. we go. I have let them know that I'm streaming. He asked for help on Farming Simulator. I don't even have the newest Farming Simulator game, so I'm not sure how I could have helped. I've never worn knee pads, and it's actually could have been dangerous once for my knees. Says cool story, bro. 8:11 a.m. here. Says Spider Mick, and that is very close to the try line for the Leicester Tigers, but once again, another knock on for the 15th time in this game. Yeah, the no-look pass from Shilcock got it off to Katu, who's had a really good game. Was free and epic a couple weeks ago, says Sandor. It's almost dinner time for her, says Grant. You know, I am looking forward to breakfast. I'm a bit peckish. Currently 8:12 a.m. here in New Zealand. Currently still 25 points difference between these two sides as well. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think is the best way of describing it. That Champions Cup game between Leinster and Clermont is still sitting 15 points to 7. So they've come to a screeching halt. Looks like Hendrickse and Hooker will be the two men making their way from the field. Playing Path of Exile, Hamish. I am not, no. I don't know what that game is. Okay, Brian, 1 hour ahead. Says Ruth. What's on the breakfast menu? Honestly, I'm not really too sure. Like, hopefully something quite substantial. But then I don't really know what to have. I'll probably just end up having toast, but I'd have to go quickly get it. So I don't think I'll be able to have it in between the live streams, just because I don't think I'll have time to pop to the shop. But I'll find something in the cupboard for a quick snack. Might get a piece of cheese or something from the fridge. I'll keep me going. Have a full English, says Sandor. It's quite hard to find one of those around town. I might have to make one myself. Might not be a bad idea. Big push there coming now. And, there was an advantage there for the Leicester Tigers till the referee decided not to give it. He put his arm straight back down. I've never actually seen this ref before, which is quite interesting. And the penalty goes the way of the Leicester Tigers. He was trying to give them one before, and he's now decided to give them one that's on the try line. Did he get it down? It's going to be held up. Another goal line dropout. And I hope you're okay, bro. Says Spider Mick. If this remains the score, that would be okay. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be terrible for the Sharks with how they've played, but at the same time, you know, there's still 9 minutes remaining and they will be 5 metres out from the line with the attacking chance. Rollerblading does strange stuff to one's ankles and knees, says Ruth. Yellow card coming for the Sharks as well, just to add a bit of insult to injury. Right, who's it going to be? They're just getting confirmation on a number. Well, I would think if he's going to be penalised, that's Machunu. But yeah, if he hasn't retreated and he gets a yellow card, surely that's a penalty try if he's the only one who's really been able to stop him from scoring. And they are on them and they are up. I never expected to see the Sharks this bad, says Spider Mick. Getting close to the try line now. And over. That will be the try for Charlie Clear. Put them that little bit closer to the 50 points. It's been an anticlimactic second half, I will say. I feel like we've just been expecting eventually for the Tigers to bust through. The Sharks haven't really had much of an answer. It's not great for my already dodgy ankles and knees, says Grant. You know, I wouldn't recommend rollerblading unless you slightly know what you're doing. It sounds like I'm inexperienced. I've never rollerbladed, like I said, but I'd assume that it can mess you up real quick. Definitely if you lean back too far, although I think they've got the things to try and stop you from flipping back, don't they? Some of them. 7.5 minutes remaining, and the score is 49-17. Let's hope the Stormers Harlequins is that little bit closer than this one. Big stretch coming in. It's going to be nice standing up as well. In about 7.5 minutes time, I had my first kiss from a girl who was teaching me how to roller skate. I was 11, says Brian. There you go. It's confirmed rollerblading gets you the ladies. You have to give it a go. Now running this one forward, Hakim Kunini. Oh, he's just bumped off one. That is a lot of power coming. Game has ended between the boys in blue versus Clermont. Did it stay at 15-7 at the end, Richard, or was there another try somewhere in there? The ankles take the strain, and 15-7, says Richard. Now, looking for the offload, or at least considering throwing it, was Labaskakny. Now, another offload up, keeping the ball alive from Handro Jacobs. Short ball to Bester. The Sharks need 2 more tries in the next 6 minutes to walk away from this game with 1 point on the table, which wouldn't be awful with how they are currently sitting. Now a little kick in behind, and it's gone into touch. 6 minutes remaining in this game, and Leicester are on quite a winning roll at the moment, says Brian. Yeah, they've been a strong side for a while, Leicester. It's just what happens when it gets to now the playoff games. We've seen it time and time again with this Leinster side for the Champions Cup and the URC that it seems to just go downhill. You're lucky you got a kiss from a 60-year-old girl, says Spider. Now Leicester Tigers, possession is there, the ball is available as well. 5 minutes left, Ben Young's told to use it. More than likely will look towards the touchline here, and that is exactly what he has managed to do. I was Roof giving away my age, says Brian. I guess my expensive rollerblades when I was 11, says cool story, bro. And that's a big run forward for the first touch of that age. Just sat down the opposition for Kunini. Here comes the line-out throw for Ethan Bester. Hamish, do you have lots of mosquitoes? In New Zealand, there are quite a few. Definitely when it's overcast or looks like it's going to rain, you get plenty. Like the work site that I was on during the week, like it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so a bit of farmland, and there were certainly a few mozzies. Was she in a G-string, Brian? Says Graham. Now Bester, ready to throw this ball in, and it's a stolen line out. Just don't seem to be able to get anything really going their way. We've got to remember they're also playing with 14 on the field at the moment. That's a nice kick in behind from Ben Youngs, and the Sharks lose, I would say, a good 50 metres of territory. About 25 metres out from their line now. It is going to be the line out. Edwin Keita, he's looking exhausted. Do you get big spiders like they do in Australia? Not the same type of spiders. Like the worst spider we have is probably, I would say, the Huntsman, I think it is, or Whitetail. Player of the match, Andre Pollard, is the man who was awarded with that honour. He's had a fantastic game. Now, tackle made from Emmanuel Tichuca. Looking off to the right-hand side, Dan Coles. Still time for one more try. Man of the match, Pollard. Says Neville there. There was a knock-on in the breakdown, so we go back for our 15th scrum of the day. Michael Cheek, a big smile on his face for what his side has been able to do here. And Brian, that was awesome. Don't tell Grant what colour your G-string was. Here's Ruth. Now 3 minutes left. Other balls, Miss Pollard, says Albert. Yeah, they certainly could have used them today. Right, there's still an argument taking place between the front rows. I think the one starting that one was Charlie Clear, young Leicester Tigers hooker. Going to be a scrum feed, though, for Bradley Davids. And they do put the ball in. Every scrum that we've had has taken a little bit more wind, I think, out of the Sharks' sail. Here comes a Apollos who's dropped the ball. Wanted to make a big impact. Has gone through his hands. Did go backwards, so that is one positive. They will still get themselves another few carries, green, white and gold. An Irish G string, but I've upgraded to a green mankini. Oh, it's close to a turnover in the breakdown. And yet again, the Tigers get themselves the penalty in the breakdown. No clear release. They have been very strict on that for one side in this matchup. 2 minutes left. At least they have the opportunity to bring up 50 if they are able to get themselves the try here. Even if they took the 3, they would actually be on the 50 points. Apollo is such a good fisherman, says Neville. What about banana and peanut butter, says Ruth. I guess that says a lot. Man of the match is a 2 times World Cup champion, South African playing for a foreign team. Says, cool story, bro. Thrown in by Clear. Tommy Reffel. The way he's played, he probably deserves a try in this game. He's had a lot of turnovers in the breakdown and also making a huge amount of tackles along the way as well. Loose ball. Cleaned up now by Kunini. To the left-hand side. Quick hands. Head one. Kate. It was a forward pass. It's just been poor from the Sharks. That's 2 bad games in a row for South African sides. And they, at times, well, honestly, most of the game, neither of them look like winning. So I do really hope the Stormers are going to do something here up against the Quins, or we will have 3 games in a row that have been pretty poor. But who knows? Maybe it turns around and it becomes game of the year between Stormers and the Harlequins. 25 seconds remaining here, though. Brian, that's very interesting indeed. And Artie. Now 10 seconds left. Ben Youngs. I could see them going for one more attack, but at the same time, there is the chance that they just boot this ball into touch and claim the big win. Points differential, though, could be such a big factor in this competition. The ball is out the back and the penalty goes the way of the Tigers again. How the Lions do quickly, Amish. So the Lions, they were leading by 8, and in the end they won 43 points to 35. So they, at the moment, are the only South African side who have got themselves the win. With 5 debutants, I'm keeping my expectation reasonable for the DHL derby, says Grant. And the Bulls went down too, Hammy. That is true. They went down badly in that game, and Lions won 43 points to 35. Says, I'm nutty there. Now Charlie Clear. Ready for this line-out throw. And Keita has lost his form, lack of confidence maybe. Says, Lilia, possibly, yeah. Like, I feel like a majority of the Sharks team went into this game with not a huge amount of confidence with them. The ball is there again for Ben Youngs. 10 metres from the line. Tommy Raffle spins out of 1. Now again, Youngs. Flat ball across to Elioni. This result doesn't bother me, Cry. And Dion Ferreira is one-man army. Could save the Stormers, but so many injuries for the Stormers. And well, what a thrashing. Says Annoy there too. But Ben Youngs now ready to go off to the left-hand side. Solomoni Kata. Oh, he was close to being able to break his way through. Ben Youngs with a pick and go. He's been swarmed by the Sharks. Around the side. Cracknell gets that little bit closer. The try line again. Charlie Clear. There's another penalty advantage now. Pick and go from Solomoni Kata. And, oh, can they get there? No, once again, just short. This game going into overtime. And that is the try now for the Leicester Tigers. Emeka Ilioni does manage to finish the job. And that is now 54 on the board. It will become 56 to the 17 of the Sharks. So risking it to increase their points differential. And they managed to do just that. The Tigers are pretty much in control of this game the whole time. There was a point when the Sharks did lead 3 points to 0. Then they led 10 points to 7. And then from there, Leicester just kept on going. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Our next live stream will be in 30 minutes' time. That is the Harlequins taking on the Stormers. I do thank you all very much for being here. If you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.